You don't have to let Gabe in. Just kidding. I waited till I saw his picture before I said that.
Gabe is awesome. And Axel.
All right.
Fine, I'll just leave.
Yeah. It's my ride or die.
You can't leave
Sure.
after you come in until it's over. That's Steve. All right.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, let's get started. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Agencies Talk, Digital Marketers weekly talk show with agency professionals. Today, we're joined by the one and only Jay Vix, CEO and owner of JVI Mobile Marketing and a digital marketer certified partner. We are so excited to get the chance to talk with him about his new coaching and consulting service called HowTo.Agency, designed to guide owners and teams to create a powerful 8-stage marketing plan and turn strangers into raving fans for their businesses. As a reminder, if you're able to, please turn on your cameras. We'd love to see your faces. As always, have fun and engage in the chat. If you do have any questions, please put those in the Q&A tool down below. That way we can make sure to get those answered for you guys. And as always, we're joined by Mark de Grasse, president of DigitalMarketer and host for today's Agencies Talk. So without further ado, Mark, take it away.
Thank you, Cameron, and happy Friday to everybody who here has had a long, eventful week. Should be everybody. Good. That's good. That means you're active. You're getting ready for Q3, Q4 marketing fun. So this is the calm before the storm. Just in case anybody's getting too comfortable, it's going to get crazier than this. So with that said, we have Jay Vix, who's blowing up his company right now. And we're going to talk today about kind of how he got to that point, what kind of led up to it, how he's managing it, and then take some questions from you guys. So again, this is Agencies Talk, which means it's not just us talking, even though I end up talking too much. So feel free to chime in on the chat or with your questions. And since there's not too many of us, and we love all of you because we see you all the time, go ahead and feel free to unmute when we do address your question, and we could just chat about it. So without further ado, welcome, Jay. What's going on in marketing?
Yeah, it's crazy, but I am like thrilled to see that Manny actually graced us with his presence today, because I love Manny.
That's right, he made it.
Manny. I mean, there's some good faces that I miss all you guys. What's going on in marketing? So the last partner training day that I was at in, Gabe, when were we ride or dying? Was that March? March. So in Austin in March, I was working on a deal with a chain of mattress companies that I was trying to land and implement a customized go high level solution for them, because I have my instance is called Journey Builder. It's my white label instance of it. And I landed that deal while in Austin. Actually went out to a little conference, little office thing there, where the little quiet room at the University of Texas place, and met with a lot of the leaders at the company and got this deal. And so for 11 years of just reinventing the wheel and customizing everything I did for everyone and not being able to scale or grow, now I had a system that we were able to implement and rapidly onboard clients. And in April, they opened up the floodgates, and we quickly signed up 50 of these dealers. And at $600 a month was a massive increase to my revenue. But what that's also led to, and I would love to talk about it today because I like being vulnerable with you guys, is a lot of challenges and a lot of issues and a lot of problems. Everybody always says, "Oh, I make this much money, and look at my Lamborghini," and I'm like, I just got a lot of money real quick, and now I'm losing them, and churn is high, and attrition sucks, and people are complaining and working with, and there's a lot of issues that come with it. It's not all roses. It's like, what do we do day to day now that we're, trying to scale and grow? So it has pulled me away from the CP community a little bit. Every once in a while, I go in the Slack group or on the Facebook page, and I'll just be like, I'm still here. I miss you guys. But like, I just, it's taken up a lot of time, but it's also led to a lot of new things. Like I have a full-time employee now, like that's never happened before, and contractors. So that's what's going on in my world this year. And I can't wait for TNC in January so I can see some of you.
That's awesome. Well, Jay, just so you know, nothing you're going through is unusual. You know, you didn't, kind of just fall into a vat of fire. You know, it happens to all of us, and that's just growth pains. You know, and I, your story is really similar to mine, because in 2020, when I had my agency, I had the same thing happen. It wasn't with one vendor; it was with, 50 people. All of a sudden had money because they got all these loans and were like, I'm getting into marketing. Let's start with a website, because I was doing the website brand development at the time. And it was the same thing where I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Like, this is the growth that everybody wants. And it's way more difficult, or nobody actually kind of talked about it. Everybody sees the rosy part, like, hey, you just, hockey sticked your growth and 10x and blah, 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 instead of saying like, and then it led to these things that I didn't even understand were things before this happened. And you can't really predict that, but I'm glad you're hanging in there. And just know that the churn, that kind of stuff can be taken care of, can be reduced. And I think, it's just part of the process, part of the learning process. So the good thing is you have the problem with growth.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
Bad thing is, it's not quite all fun and games, but let's kind of break that down. So you basically got 50 new clients overnight. Is that
yeah, you could say overnight. I mean, we've actually worked with like 75, and we have 50, just about 50 right now. So we've lost some. So we've worked with a lot of them. There's 465 in the whole organization. But the deal that we've worked with corporate, because they're not truly a franchise, they're like a business opportunity, is that we go directly with, they'll promote us, and we've signed an agreement with corporate to get promoted to those dealers, but each business relationship is between me and this independent dealer. So we say overnight, I mean, this is between April and now. So overnight being like, we've just been a constant series of onboarding, support, saving deals, making people more happy, customer service, keeping deals alive, and making people, and really trying to document the good results that we're having. And because there's been a lot of success through this as well. Like it's not all like, painful churn stuff. There's a lot of like, wow, you just ran $22,000 of sales from your little appointment only store last month, and they're documented in the system. Like our leads have gotten you this many appointments, right? So it is kind of overnight being, 4 or 5 months.
Oh yeah. Well, and even before that, like how many years have you been in business that led up to this kind of expansion point? 11 years. Yeah. So it's, I mean, I say overnight, I mean, the actual instance of it happening, because and that's not unusual too, where you have kind of like a catalyst that kind of launches you up to the next level. And now you got to deal with the problems at that level that again, didn't even know exist. Now, with that said, could you kind of break down like what would have been the sticking points? Is it onboarding? Is it expectation setting? Is it kind of like, people wanting to upgrade into things that maybe the system wasn't capable of, like customization? What would you say are the kind of top 3 sticking points?
Sticking points as far as making people happy, or sticking points as far as what's led to some troubles?
Yeah, the churn.
Churn. So upfront expectations. So when we came in, our system was, we're going to run ads on Facebook, because that's how they market their business. So, I mean, we could talk about, they should be doing this or they should be doing that, but like they have a business model that we need to stay in the confines of. And they've always built their business on Facebook ads, marketplace, road signs, it's a retail, so we ran Facebook ads, we still do. But what the problem was that when we positioned this to all these dealers, they put the ads in front of the million other tools that the software can help them with, the booking calendar and the automated follow-ups and reminders and long-term building a database of people in your community who need to sleep on a mattress every night. And they may not buy today, but they might buy next year. And my whole philosophy was we need to treat their business as if they were a realtor. Like realtors work their community. They may get one sale from somebody ever, but they're always looking for referrals, or, they're still working every day. It's not about who's going to buy or sell today. And so the expectation problem was that we led with ads, page ads. A lot of these dealers have done well with marketplace. They've done well with boosted posts. They've done well with road signs. And now we're coming in saying, we're going to run page ads for you. And we didn't really go into the depths of how expensive that can be when you're looking for leads, people looking to buy mattresses. I mean, it could cost you 40 or 50 or 60 bucks to get an appointment, So, and they want to do all the appointments themselves. It's not like drive somebody to a booking calendar and get it. They want to talk to this person first and set the appointment with them. A lot of them don't even want a public facing booking calendar, which thank God we're overcoming that with them now and giving them web pages. But we led with ads. And then when dealers started realizing that our system was $600 a month, but they needed to spend another $600, $900, $1,200, $1,500 a month on Facebook ads, my program was no longer $600 a month. My program is $2,000 a month in their eyes. Like there's no divide now, right? So now the big problem is, because people have said, well, the ads are expensive. And I said, well, why don't we just cut out the ads? You can keep marketing the way you are, and we'll show you how to bring them into the software. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like they don't, so now I'm like, I have this issue of like, you don't need to have us run ads for you to use all the great tools. We sell a software, like we sell a software as a service, or with a service. And that's been the number one thing, is the expectations when we launched. They led with ads. The company led with ads. They wanted us to lead with the ads. You're going to run ads for these dealers because they don't want to do it themselves. They don't know how. You're going to run ads. And meanwhile, I'm like, but I got like 50 other things that this tool does that they need to see the value in. And it's hard when, when all they care about is running. And I've said to them, like, if you think I'm going to charge you $600 to run and monitor one ad campaign, $600 a month, you're crazy. That's nothing. It takes us 15 minutes and it's not that big a deal. Like so I'm like, well, you're paying $600 for the everything. If you want us to not run ads for you, you're going to save $100 a month. Like I'm going to charge you $500 for the software. Right. So I'm like, the value of running one campaign and monitoring it every week to me or to them should be just that $100. Because if they said, can you just launch a campaign for me? I'd be like, sure. $100 a month. Yeah, I'll take $1,200 to monitor an ad campaign for a year. The copy's the same. The graphics are the same. It's just template,
Well,
So,
but even that process you could spice up with, marketing talk, if you want to call it that, where you're saying, hey, we're not just running ads, we're experimenting, we're testing, we're trying to get that ad cost down. I mean, you could go into like details of how paid media works, which would then, and the time that it takes, because I'm sure with the people that are complaining, how many months did it take before they were like, this doesn't work and it's too expensive?
well, that's interesting too, Mark, because that is what we talked about up front. We're like, the advantage of having us run the ads is that we get a lot of data really fast. If we got 100 dealers spending 30, 40 bucks a day, well, we're going to get, the $4,000 worth of data every day that dealer wouldn't otherwise get on their own, spending 40 bucks a day. Right. But they don't like the word test. I've had dealers cancel and say, I think there's too much experimenting and testing going on. I want something that's more established, right? So there were those dealers, right? And then there were dealers that signed on, and in 3 weeks, if the ads weren't performing really well, they're like, your program doesn't work. And I'm like, you can't know if a program and a software and everything's working in 3 weeks. If the ads aren't performing well, we're looking every week and we're trying to make those tweaks to get them, or looking at what's working somewhere else and implementing it in this market. And so I went back. The other thing was, I talked about the ads. The other thing was we made it sound like it was a silver bullet, and it's not a silver bullet. What in marketing is a silver bullet, right? So you run ads, and if they perform, people are happy. In some cases, the ads performed amazing and the people still wanted to cancel because they're like, these leads are crap. I can't book an appointment with them. I'm like, that sounds like a appointment booking problem or a sales problem. I never say that, but I'm looking at the
you could say that.
I could.
Well, because
Yeah.
well, and that's just people's understanding of marketing sometimes too, where they think like, again, I keep talking about the silo of marketing and how it doesn't work because, you could be running perfect ads and you could be sending tons of traffic. But then if, the person on the other line doesn't pick up the phone or screws up the call or has an expectation that isn't right, like that has nothing to do with you. And so I think, when you set those expectations, you could say, hey, we're running the ads. However, the ads will only work if your appointment, is in line, if your follow-up is in line, if your blah, 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 blah is in line. And at that point, then you could start saying like, hey, if you want me to come in and do an analysis of your follow-up system, then that's great. That'll be $500 more a month. Don't use it for a sales thing, but you could actually just use as an expectation. Like, I could totally do that. It sounds like you have a sales issue and we do have an analysis and assessment for that system. It just costs X and then blah, blah, blah. But, if you're at the point where they're blaming you for, the ads failing, or they haven't even given it time to kind of, germinate and lead to actual leads and get that cost down, and that's all just kind of, communication management in terms of that, the communication. Are you talking to them? Do you have like a weekly meeting or something?
Yeah. So I hired Jason. He's in the other room. Actually, he's out right now. I don't know if he's back, but I have Jason over there. When I wave over there, he's in the next room. Jason is, I'm glad to see Renee jumped on too, because I've been talking to her about this quite a bit, or a couple times anyway. Hey, Renee. Jason is looking at the ad results every week, and he's reaching out to them and just saying, hey, looked like the ads perform well, got leads, any concerns this week? It's just an email touch point every week. The other thing we do is we do a weekly Google Meet for any dealers that want to jump on and ask questions or get help. I also started a Facebook group for the users only. Like, it's totally private. We have to send them a link. If they're paying us, we'll let them in the group. And I put videos and how-tos and different tutorials and trainings up in there. Just some other ways to help kind of reduce churn and make sure that people feel like that we're talking to them. And I think what you were saying about the sales, I can't tell you. One of the cool things. Oh, Atiba here too. Oh my goodness gracious!
We got a full crew.
Everybody's here. Oh man, I miss all of your faces. I'm glad I get to see your faces, even in a little box today. But so one of the other things is with Journey Builder or High Level, right? You've got this. You can see all the conversations that take place in people's accounts. So one of the things we've started doing was, instead of running messenger ads that start the automated conversation with these people and going through like chatbot type of stuff, I switched a lot of these dealers, and we're still moving more. I switched them to lead ads, because I'm like, ultimately you want their name, the phone number, and email address, and Facebook will put it in the form. And then we're capturing that data, because with Facebook Messenger, outside of 24 hours, we can't send an automated message anyway. Facebook's going to block it, or High Level's going to block it, because it's outside of their 24+1 rules. But with a phone number and an email address, well, until they opt out and say, stop, right, you can market to them. So what I did is, now we run a lead ad. And this goes to that sale. I'm answering your sales conversation, so we have a lead ad up. They fill out and submit the lead form on Facebook. We wait 30 seconds, and the system sends out a message that says, hey, I'm so-and-so. I have several mattresses available. What size are you looking for? And I would say that 60% of those people that submitted the form are replying to that text inside the system with what size mattress they're looking for. I mean, I'm getting kings, queens, two. If I need 3 mattresses, we're getting replies.
That's awesome.
I can't tell you the number of times people said, those leads are terrible. Or I don't see another conversation from that business owner to reply to them. And then what a lot of them were doing, and this is kind of our fault on a communication side, we would send the dealer, or we do send the dealer a text message every time a new lead form gets submitted. So we say, hey, you have a new lead from the system. Here's their name. Here's their phone number, right? And if they don't reply to the text, we say, hey, you have a new prospect from your lead ad. Here's their name. Here's their phone number. They did not tell us what size they were looking for. So we have two different messages depending on a user response. These dealers were picking up their cell phone and just calling them after we just texted this person from the assigned number inside of High Level, right? So they're like, I'm calling all these people and they're not answering. And I said, well, do you answer unknown numbers? And like, what do you mean? So we've really had to train them on pick up the app, write to them in the app, or call them through the app. We have a lead connector app, right? So call them through the app or write to them through the app. And if you're going to call them from your cell, say, hey, this is so-and-so with the mattresses. I'm going to give you a call in just a few minutes from this number. Please answer it, right? Like if you want to use your cell, but otherwise just pick up the app and call. So that was a little bit of a communication hurdle, but we've gotten dealers hundreds of leads, name, email, phone number, and a reply of what size mattress they're looking for after they not only clicked the ad, but submitted the lead ad form to be contacted. And I've had dealers try to tell me, oh, those leads, these leads are not good. I'm like, what more do you want? Like, what more can I give you? You know?
Yeah, well, and you could talk about, I think if you go with like industry standard conversion rates to say like, hey, here's the expectation you can expect, and here's, and even giving them a sample, follow-up script. It's like, hey, this person's contacting you like this. And again, all this stuff, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just ask ChatGPT half the time, or any of the people here, and you'll find some of that information like right off the bat. But with that said, since we have all you here, and I'm sure some of you have dealt with this exact situation, what would you suggest to Jay in terms of fixing this issue? Huge expectations from the customer, a misunderstanding of how paid media works, a misunderstanding of how follow-up works, how conversion works. What have you seen? So let's Gabe, let's hear you.
Okay, so in terms of a bad lead, there's no such thing as a bad lead. There's a reason for them to reach out to you, and there's no such thing as a bad lead. The whole thing I believe in is that first objection, the internal objection. If you're already qualifying that buyer, if you're qualifying them ahead of time, then you're not going to close the deal. That's a given. That's a point. If you're sitting there saying that, oh, you know what? He doesn't have the money for it. Oh, he doesn't have the time for it. Oh, he's just looking around. Then you're never going to close a deal. And when someone says it's a bad lead, they're already pre-qualifying it. They're already suggesting this guy doesn't want to buy. And that's internally. That's their internal turmoil. That's them saying to themselves that I'm not going to close this deal, so I'm backing out already. So
you say you grab that clip from Glengarry, Glenn Ross. The leads aren't bad.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a bad lead.
So how would you, well, Gabe, just in terms of what you would say to the business owner, in terms of, hey, it's not a getting leads issue, it's a sales issue or objection handling issue.
Yeah, it's an objection handling issue at that point. So I would tell them, listen, we got you the leads. This is the job of marketers, to get you the leads that you need. Now it's time to build that script, build a certain predictable asset that could actually get them to buy your product. And the whole thing I would do is, what's their dominant buying motive? Like, there's a reason why they reached out to you. What's that dominant buying motive? And how will you use that to close the deal? And there's different ways. There's only about so many objections that you could handle. Every single time it's different wording, but it's the same exact thing that everyone's talking about. I don't have money. I got to talk to my wife. They're all the same.
Well, I think maybe that's where you go with it, Jay, and say, hey, it's really important that we understand how you're talking to your customer, because your customer is specific, your company is specific. Like, I need to understand your approach to sales, and then just throw the ball back to them.
Yes, we've done a bit of that. They all use this thing they call word boards. They all have mentors, and the company puts out these things of what to say first, what to say second. So they're all like, well, this is what my word board says, or my mentor told me to say, so this is what I should say. And we put in a lot of these pre-programmed stuff, but what I'm seeing is the ones that want to complain are the ones they're not even responding to they're always complaining about people ghosting them. They're ghosting these interested inquiries, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I will stand up for myself. I have gone to them and said, well, now wait a minute. Here you go. And I'll screen share with them. Here you go. They're looking for a king, queen, king, full, twin, 3 beds. Right. And I'll be like, but I don't see anything that you wrote back to them. And they're like, well, I didn't see all this. And I'm like, that's the power of the software. Like you think I'm just running ads. What do you think we're doing with this data? So it's been a lot of educating, and a lot of these dealers that we're working with are sweet people who have self-admittedly said, I don't even know how to attach a picture to an email. Like they're just very computer novice, let alone, so we're trying to teach them this world-class marketing software, but we're doing it for them. We're not trying to teach them how to use it, but we're trying to teach them at least how to use the CRM from their phone so they can book appointments and have conversations with people. Anyway, I see a hand from Atiba.
Yeah, let's hear Atiba. What do you think, Atiba?
What's up, everybody? How y'all been?
Great, buddy.
Good one.
Good to Mark. I haven't seen your face in a long time too. It's good to see you, buddy. And I know it's my fault.
No, it's my fault too.
So Jay, looking at it, my first question and just hearing you is, what is there? And you started going there a little bit just now, right? So if someone says this was a bad lead, why is it a bad lead for you?
Right.
Okay, because at the end of the day, getting back to Gabe's point as well, is if they don't have a fundamental understanding of the CVJ and the journey of someone and where they are when you give them to them, then if they think that this person is, when you give them to them, coming with a credit card in hand and saying, here's my 16 digits, and that's a good lead for them, then that's not what you're delivering.
Right, yeah.
And so by their definition, yeah, it's a bad lead. And so figuring that out, like, where's your issue with the lead? And now, okay, that means you expect them to be at this stage of the CVJ, but they're really at this stage. And so here's what has to happen to get them from where I'm giving them to you to where you need them to be to qualify them as a good lead. And here's our process.
That's beautiful.
Love it.
It's absolutely beautiful. And it's funny that you say that. It just speaks volumes of the importance of the CVJ. We didn't have the opportunity to sit with these dealers and take them through a CVJ workshop before they signed on with us for the system. So they don't know the CVJ, and it's perfect, because if I had taken them on as a one-off client, I would have done that first. The other thing we've tried to tell a lot of these dealers is, like, the people on Facebook that click on your ad. Steve, did you take your hand down? Put your hand back up. I don't want to hear from you in a minute. But the people that are browsing on Facebook that ultimately click on this mattress ad, they did not get on Facebook to look for a mattress. They got on Facebook to see what their buddies' pictures are, their kids this, their family this and that, and just look and see what else is going on in their world. And they happen to see your ad and click on your ad. And we've often said to them, when they talk about leads, we've said, look, these are people who basically are walking through the mall, window shopping, and they happen to see your store and they step in. And the minute you say, hey, is there anything I can help you with? They say, no, just looking. Doesn't mean it's a bad lead. If we can get their phone number or their email or something else, they may just be looking today. But now guess who can send them that Happy Thanksgiving text blast in 3 months to say, hey, your local mattress guy here wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and how that can turn into long-term sustainable business. And that gap is so hard to bridge with some of the people. So anyway.
Well, I think for you specifically, I mean, and for the certified partner community, because I'm sure somebody's dealt with a mattress dealer before. Like, if you could just get a case study from somebody who's executed a CVJ for this exact situation, then you could just refer to that and dress it up, maybe put it on your website, be like, you know what? It's really common for people to misunderstand how this works. Let me show you an exact example from a mattress company where they 10x their revenue and blah, 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 just to get them excited. And then also not just be like, you don't understand marketing, because everybody thinks they understand marketing. So now you're in an argument and you're never going to win that because everybody is an expert at your job, is what it comes down to. And we're working on that here at Digital Marketer. We're trying to convince people that you guys don't know anything. It's way more complicated than you think, but it takes some time. Let's see, Manny, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to mention, since you're working with a lot of different franchises or licensees, finding the ones that are your advocates, the ones that are really, enjoying what you're doing, they're like bought in, they're seeing results, and getting them to have either testimonials or case studies where they've overcome some of those objections that those people are bringing up, and have it in their words. So it's like, hey, I used to think this, but now I think this because here's what I've experienced. And that way it's not you saying it, it's their peers in their organization that they can look up to and say, hey, that guy's really doing well. I should probably listen to him because he knows what he's talking about.
I like it. Yeah, one of the big stumbling blocks, and we have asked because they're all in these Facebook groups and stuff that they have amongst all of them. And of course, that's where if somebody doesn't like it, they go tell everybody, oh, I don't know about that program, right? So that's kind of works against us. But we have talked to some of the ones that are having good success. And I like your idea of taking it one step further and actually putting out a case study, man, because we haven't done that. But we've gone to the ones that are doing well and saying, hey, are you in any of the Facebook groups with the other dealers? Can you maybe just say something nice? And we had one do it, and I just secretly sent them a $20 Amazon gift card just to say, hey, thanks for that, was really nice. Somebody sent me a screenshot of it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. So but yeah, doing a case study and trying to somehow, I do have some of the mentors and coaches that like our program, and then I have some mentors and coaches that are using another competing program. So there's like this battle. However, I signed an official agreement with the company, the parent company, that says we are the preferred marketing vendor for all the dealers. But there's some dealers that are looked up to in the company who are using a competing solution. It's not even an apples to apples comparison, but they're not supposed to be saying go with this other company, but sometimes you can tell what's happening. And so we do have some forces working against us that we're trying to overcome. And today was the first day I actually used the F word when referring to that company. That was about 2 hours ago, but I try not to. I try to be nicer than that. You guys know me, but
yeah, well, it's competition is bad, especially because
great.
The real way you beat people is by showing that your solution is better, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's if you go back to that, and because especially, well, I'm in Texas, and so nobody's going to listen to you if you say you have to do something like you have to use this vendor. It'll be like, oh, I'll show you, and so you're not gonna win against some of those people. But the promotional side, like if they're not supposed to do that and they're contracted to not do that, then yeah, I would do that. But refer back to legal for that kind of stuff. And then in the meantime, you should say, well, I got Sally's mattress is $1 zillion, so why don't you just talk to her? So I think that would be the big objective. And maybe you just go with somebody you like and try super hard with just the one, just to start. Say, hey, we're experimenting. I'm going to give you guys an extra level of service where we're actually going to focus a lot of time on you to really kick butt for somebody who's already an advocate of yours, and then they'll go out and spread all of that, like, oh my gosh, well, blah blah blah, and don't make it so, and maybe just tell them like, nobody knows I'm doing the extra work for you. It's not unethical. You're just saying this is an experiment, and I need an example company that we're really going to kick butt. I'm testing out these other things. I'm not going to charge you extra for it. I'm just going to do these things because we want to build a real case study around your company, and then they could be your secret advocate that then is getting awesome results. You take those lessons, you systematize them, and then you can execute for everybody without incurring more operational, costs.
That's fantastic. I do have some that we've tested new features and functionality as we've built this system and customized it. And those dealers are happy, they're using us. They're more willing to test because they like being a part of that. So we have some dealers that are more tech savvy that are like, I'll let you try that, and so that is good. I need to do more of that. I need to do more of the case study, like spreading the word of like the successes we're having, specific numbers, and like specifically like this person got so many leads, and then this was this many appointments, and
Well, even the setup process, because
Right.
you could say like, hey, we got to this level, but it took us 60 days. And so all I'm asking for you to do is give me the same 60 days that it took them to make this successful. And we'll win. At the end of that, if it doesn't work, then fine. But you owe it to yourself, since we've started this, to go through the process.
Yeah, that's perfect too. I have told them now that I want a verbal agreement of 90 days. And if that after 6 months they hate me, or not hate me, but if they hate the service or they want to cancel, I'll give them $1,000 back. That's my guarantee now. So
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
So-
perfect.
yeah, so I'm trying to make sure, because I feel like a drug dealer, right? With this software. And what I mean by that is I need to it's a CRM tool. If I can get them using the data, using the calendar, get them hooked on these services and get them hooked on these features, they're not it's daunting to try to leave. Like, how many of you would just jump from one email program to another without like cringing a little bit at the thought of, moving all your automations and your list and everything over, right? It's like, so it's with software, it's kind of like and the only way we're going to do that is get them using it 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then they're hooked. We don't have
Well,
very
and I
many
think-
dealers.
Yeah, well, and don't think of it in terms of like drugs. Think of it in terms of, hey,
I'm
this
saying
is
that
a
in the
solution.
confines of this community.
Oh, I
but-
know. But even the thought process behind it, because what you're really doing is you're getting them onto a system that is so comprehensive that in order to repeat it, you'd have to spend 10 times the amount. And so literally you're saving them from going through all the pain of not just leaving, but finding out that every solution out there has a $500, tag on it. And you had everything for $500, and now to repeat what they would get somewhere else, they'd have to get this one and this one and this one, and the actual cost of it would be $30,000 a month or whatever it is. So, if you look at like you're saving these people from, incurring all this pain and cost and time, it changes the whole perspective.
That just changed my whole perspective on how I want to go about talking about it. So thank you.
And it's, and you can flip it because it's easy, and I talked to my son about this, like it's easy to be negative, right? Like that's the default of everybody. And so
Right.
if you want to be different, all you have to do is be the exact opposite. It's not easy. Well, it's not easy because being positive isn't the easiest thing in the world either, but it's much more profitable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Tiba, what do you have to say?
Hey, Jay, jumping back to the case study bit. I think everyone's going to be able to relate to this. We all probably suck quite a bit at case studies. And within that, we all also do great work for our clients. Thereby means there are case studies that exist and we can't see them. And Lauren, I don't know how this chick is able to see case studies, but talk to her. Because she has a way of seeing the most minute data and making a fantastic case study out of it, right? So you already have everything that you need because you already had success for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I'm
so
writing it
you
down.
can
Check with Petrullo. Got it.
Yeah, take that success and create the case study right now.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
agree. And really just having some numbers will do it. I was just asking everybody if they'd like a InDesign template, because we actually did case studies for Hawk AI and then also TikTok. No, Height Digital. That was it. And I have the template. So I'll just share the template inside the CP community for you guys, and you can use it however you want.
JC has helped me a ton through this process. I've been kind of talking with him about franchise, like marketing growth, like all of it, because he kind of encompasses all that. He's been one hell of a cheerleader for me, or for this with and an objective viewpoint as well. So JC has been a huge help, and now I feel obligated to go to Costa Rica next year. My wife wants to come too.
You
so.
should. That was a blast. Actually, there's so many families there. It's a really good event if you want to, bring everybody on vacation. Just let them know that we're going to be busy the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some spouses that were like, "Oh, you're gone all day." I had to watch the kids. They're like, wow, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And there are monkeys on the patio, and they'll steal your stuff, just so you know.
I've
Have
been to
pictures.
Costa Rica. I didn't have any monkeys steal my stuff, but I have gone to see the howler monkeys. We were in the I keep saying we were in the woods. No, we were actually in the rainforest in the world. It was like wasn't a zoo, but yeah, it was crazy. Okay.
Now these are white-faced monkeys. Also, there's crocodiles. So
Yeah, saltwater crocodiles.
yes, and they
Yeah.
didn't tell me about that. I actually asked specifically if there were crocodiles because I was planning on going swimming, and they said nope, there's just dolphins and stuff. And then I didn't find out about the crocodiles until I was on the way back to the airport. And the guy's like, oh yeah, we're crossing the crocodile bridge right now. And I was like, crocodiles? Like, are they around here? He's like, oh yeah, they're everywhere. I swam out 100 meters and just floated there. And I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I asked that guy about predators because I'd be really worried right now. And it turns out I should have been. So anyways, off topic.
Funny.
Ask multiple people about predators. That's the lesson there. Let's see, what else could we help you with? We talked about follow-up, we talked about setting expectations, talked about supporting claims through case studies. I'm going to upload since we're talking about JC, what I'm going to do is actually upload the report that we produced with JC. They provide the data and then we actually produce the report. So I'll put the report and the InDesign template inside of it was crocodiles, not alligators, Cameron. There's a difference.
Yes, crocodiles.
But I'll put it on the sheet so you guys can see all of that stuff. And actually, and I'm going to limit the template to certified partners. So if you're on here and you're not a certified partner, then please join so you can see the stuff. But Cameron, if you could find the landing page for the JC report and then also the Hawk AI report, those would be examples of like fully built case studies that you could put together. But really, if it's just a tear sheet kind of thing where it's just like, hey, here's what happened. People love visuals too. So really what we did with the height report was we didn't share all of the data. So you don't actually download like, here's all the data because that's private and proprietary to them. What they did was they analyzed the data and then they just gave us the points. So it was like, hey, here's the standard churn rate we saw with our clients. Here's the reasons for the churn. And then here's the lessons that we learned. And so you could do the same or use a similar format where you just share the big data points and then you summarize like, here's what it means. Standard return time for, break even is 45 days. Standard 2 times ROAS is 70 days. And then the more you give these kind of specifics and you could back it up with, I just did this, the more people will be like, okay, well, I'm basing my, comments off of my opinion and Joe down the street told me about this and blah, blah, blah. Whereas you're going like, no, I just am using the data from High Digital, which has 90 agencies around the country and services 3,000 companies. So let's try first, and then we'll go to yours. So you're not really fighting them. You're just saying your data is better.
It's funny that you say that because the corporate, the head of sales for the whole, the dealership who's been in my corner and got me this whole deal and got me connected and he's been promoting me. He's like my guy on the inside, right? He had a couple of dealers say, yeah, I don't think this program is working out. And he's like, well, what are you basing that on? And they literally, he said, they're basing it on emotion, that some of them had said, well, my checking account isn't going up as much as I thought. And he's like, well, do you have any numbers you can attribute to appointments or sales? Well, no, my checking account doesn't look like it's growing fast. So the program isn't working. I'm like, you've got business owners out there that is they're living and dying just on their checking account, not a P&L, not a balance sheet, no tracking, no metrics, no data, right? Just emotion and just this overall balance in their checkbook or checking account, and that was scary.
Yeah, but it's super normal. It sounds ridiculous. And it's not just lower level mom and pop companies. There are large, giant companies that essentially operate that kind of lagging metric. And so, if you want to, and this is actually referred to, I think Ryan talks about it in the Head of Marketing Bootcamp, where you're talking about the leading versus lagging metrics. If you just refer to that, I think it's in session 2, maybe. But if you explain to them like, hey, there's something called leading and lagging metrics. Lagging metrics are just telling you how things are going, where leading metrics will tell you where things can get to. And so if you explain the difference between the two metric types, and then you say, this is why we can't judge my performance based off of revenue, but you can judge my performance off of leads, which I'm getting you. Now they start to get an understanding of, okay, that this is how the process works. Here's the average rates. Here's the industry standards. Here's the case study report information. Now you're backing up all your claims with actual information. And all they could say is like, well, I don't feel good about this. And you could say, okay, that's totally understandable, totally normal. Like you don't understand marketing. No, why would you? It's my job to do that. I'm just going to explain to you how it works so that, even if you don't choose to use me and maybe we aren't going to work together, that's fine. I just wanted to give you the expectation and the education to make a good decision in the future using whoever you're going to use. I'm just trying to save you the trouble of having to, do this again because you don't understand. So it's going to happen again.
Yeah, that's gold. That's gold.
So
Mark, you're not looking for a job in a sales organization.
It's a sale, like, hey, I'll sell some website. I'll keep your clients, retention specialist. But yeah, it's all just relationship management, and then get the result. That's the important part for you. Yeah.
No, and we have 6 months of data. So, one of the big challenges is getting them to actually book their appointments in there because they work by appointment only. It's not like a retail store where anybody can walk in all day. It's very trackable. If they would book the appointments, we then have what happened on that appointment. How much was the sale for? We have all of that built into the system that we built for them. And we're trying to get, the ones that are sticking around and using it and we're getting lots of leads, we're like, hey, you book an appointment. We'll notice that they're not using the calendar. Like, you got to use the calendar because we can't track it if you're, using a pen and paper here, unless you want to accurately report the results to me. I need to be able to see them so that we could do that. But we do have some and we're working on that.
Well, and you could do offshoots, the case study is one thing, but if you also wanted to, you could do some front end content that will also support what you're saying, where you could say like, hey, marketing doesn't matter if sales isn't in line. And here's the 5 reasons why. And then when you start to hit this expectation, and maybe this is just something during your onboarding process where you say, hey, this takes a while, but the most important thing is that you get your say, I'm worrying about the marketing. You guys worry about the follow-up. And here's an article that we wrote that shows you why that side of the equation is just as important as getting the leads in the first place. And it gives you tips and it gives you blah, blah, blah. And then you could say everything is kind of just a public general thing, but essentially what you're doing is you're hitting objection points before the objection points actually occur. And then when they are thinking those things, they're like, oh yeah, Jay said I would think this, and I read the article about it and he sent me the article and I know. And then they'll start actually quoting the article too. They'll be like, I know you said it works like this. I'm just concerned because of XYZ. And you're like, that's totally understandable. Not your fault. I'll take care of it. Can we get off the phone so I can get back to work?
No, I mean, those things are really important to the upfront. They have onboarding videos, then we do a kickoff call with them. We spend, there's a lot of time spent just getting them set up. I mean, you got to think about, we're setting up a software system in their business and their ads and connecting to this and that. I just, while you were saying that about numbers, I was just looking at how many leads we've driven these dealers since February 1st, and it's 18,894 total.
Wow.
On $146,000 of ad spend, which is $7.75 a lead.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you should be putting those quotes. You should put that information on your public feed. Don't quote who it came from, but you could say like, oh, I'm so excited. I just got I just noticed that we crossed the 18,000 mark. Hooray. And then that helps your business. And then your other people that are, will see the support online and blah, blah, blah. It's all part of the same thing. But yeah, take those wins and tell people about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
You just said something that struck me, which is you've got a sophisticated, we'll call it, onboarding process. Sounds like multiple meetings, conversations, set up, going on.
We're dumbing
Fair
it down though. Yeah, no, not really. I mean, the yes and no. The one is just a series of videos they watch, and then we do a kickoff call to get them going. So it's really kind of like one
Okay.
call. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
So here's something that we did that helped us a ton. And I don't know if you can crosswalk this for you, but it takes us 45 to 60 days before we can actually start publishing stuff for people with onboarding and getting them all in line and everything else and creating the content, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And so one of the things we started doing was this 15-minute baked in session on Alex Harmosi's offer strategy. Now, I happen to love it. So hearing me talk about it, people like to hear me talk about it because I love it. And it gave them something to do in the time, in that 45, 60 days, while we're working on other stuff. They went off and read the book and started doing stuff, and they attributed success back to us because we led them to a book and said, go read it. And they were able to see how they got success with it. Now, how we crosswalk that to you is, are there things that you can do to point out, hey, I know that you probably look at your bank account and that's the only thing that you're measuring to see if this is great, but there may be a slightly different way to understand. You know, can you start doing those types of things where they can get wins along the way on their own that then point back to, you know what, that guy's really smart.
there is. Yeah, there is. There is. A lot of them use marketplace as well. And obviously we can't connect to somebody's personal marketplace. So one of the things that we could do, and thank you, Atiba, is probably make a, hey, here are the top 5 ways to utilize marketplace with the software to get some sales while you're waiting for the ads. I mean, that wouldn't be the title, but I'm just saying, like, basically that's what it would describe, is ways that you can use your other marketing methods to make the sales come in while we're working on the ads and getting everything else set up, like from day one, and start tracking it through the system. I think would be, I mean, that's where my head went when you said it, but that's a really good idea. Just give them something to chew on and do. Yeah, thank you. It's huge. I love you, Atiba.
Love that. No, that's so great. I think this has been a fantastic call just to, see the input. And this is how the calls are supposed to work. I always have questions because I'm annoying like that, but everybody else has real questions from actually doing, the work of marketing, and really digital marketing. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, those tactical how-tos that you could take home and, increase the money that you're making, make more money, fix problems, all that kind of fun stuff. So Jay, thank you for coming on, being so honest with your situation, because I think a lot of marketers are struggling with the same type of stuff, but you don't want to say anything about it because you don't want to be seen as like, oh, well, he just doesn't know what he's doing, or she just hasn't done it enough, or whatever. We're all insecure.
Yes, absolutely. This is one community I've always felt very comfortable in, which is why I keep sticking around. And I think I was the first agencies talk, by the way. I think I was your first one. Yeah, when you started this. But no, this is one community where I'm never afraid to be like, I need help, or I'm not, I'm not perfect. We make mistakes, and we also don't know the answers to everything, which is why we need lots of people to help us in that. I will say one more thing, and thank you again, Mark, for asking me to be on here, but a lot of you guys know about my Meet the Experts show, which we have been rocking and rolling with that as well. Like, that's a side note, that web video series, Manny's been on there, and I've had numerous conversations, but that Meet the Experts series, that was a terrible business model when I started, because I'm just giving people video interview content for free all the time. Possibly just turned into a multiple 6-figure possible opportunity here, from a referral from a guest that was on my show. And this company in Utah has 7 divisions, and each one is a 7-figure company, and they need a marketing software and marketing help. When I talked to them, they said, thank you, Atiba. When I talked to them, they said, look, you don't have to talk to us as though what this can do and that can do. Talk to us as though you've already got the job. Let's just assume you've already got it, and now let's talk about how we're going to do this and roll it out. So they're on board. They're like, we're going to use you. And eventually we're going to fire, they also said, eventually we're going to fire our existing marketing team and let you guys handle that too. But we just need to get set up with the CRM and all the other stuff and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, so the free video interviews of doing with business owners for the last 3 years, this is the kind of stuff I had hoped it would generate. These are the conversations that I would hope it generate. And we're up to 67 episodes and we got like 10 more in the hopper. So yeah.
Well,
been great.
way to go, Jay. I
Thank
think
you.
your whole story is extremely inspirational, because I think a lot of people, you know, you're hustling for a really long time and you think, you know, maybe that's never going to happen and maybe I won't get to that growth that I always dreamed of and so on and so forth. But you just kept going and going and now it's starting to work. And that's actually,
yeah.
that's normal too. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to figure out your formula, but I think you're doing it. And we're super proud of everything that you're doing. And if you attribute any of that to what we teach, then we really appreciate that too.
I do it all the time. I literally do it all the time. So I will continue. I always say, look, that my life changed when I became a certified partner. Like that,
No.
that's when I looked at my business differently. I looked at systems and frameworks a lot differently. You know, so Atiba, you cracking me up down there. But yeah, it is. I mean, you guys know how I feel about the community. It's or if you don't, then let's have a one-to-one and talk about it. Because
There
I'll tell
you
you,
go.
yeah.
Hey, do
All
it.
right.
That's what we're supposed to be doing anyways. Well, thank you so much, Jay. Really
Appreciate it.
appreciate you. Appreciate your story. Appreciate you being part of the community, and appreciate everybody here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for, you know, chatting. You know, I think this has been a great episode. I think this is kind of my goal from now on is kind of getting everybody else involved. Let's talk about real stories, real, you know, failures and successes, and learn from each other, because that's why we're here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Mark.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.